Rob. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting here. First one in October. Good crowd here tonight. Lots of interested participants. Council, we're all here except in the building. We're all here except Deputy Mayor Kiley and Councillor Rice are joining virtually. So if I could get a thumbs up from both of them to acknowledge that we have started the meeting. Councillor Rice, how you doing? Thumbs up. Good, thank you. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please. All right, welcome everybody. Council, before you see the agenda for the October 15th meeting today, and I'll accept a motion, please, to adopt the agenda so submitted. And thank you. Moved by Councillor Rice and seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. We begin today's public council meeting. Well, this is a new one. Thanks, guys. Well, hang on now. I got to go back up here. In recognition of the City of Mount Pearl's commitment to foster respectful and collaborative relationships with Indigenous peoples in the City of Mount Pearl and beyond, we hereby acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. Mount Pearl and the broader metro region continue to be home to diverse Indigenous peoples, including First Nations, Innu, and Inuit. Council meeting there for October 1st. Council, you see before you those minutes. Please let me know if there's any errors or omissions. All right, hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion to adopt the minutes from October 1st. Thank you, Councillor Locke, and second by Councillor Lane. All in favor? And opposed? That's carried as well. Thanks, everybody. Business arising, people. All right, let's move to, we have a couple of proclamations here. One is for the Newfoundland Labrador Stuttering Association. I see Greg O'Grady in the audience, and also Miles for Smiles. And I see a couple of representatives there, actually three now. So Greg, if you and your folks would like to come up and join us. Only you? Okay, Greg and his entourage, right? Good to see you again, sir. And we'll read the proclamation and maybe we'll have a little chat about it. Okay, yep. All right, thanks. Oh, okay. Do you want to do that yourself when you leave? Yeah, okay. Yeah, perfect. Yep. Oh, well, I don't think there's enough for all these people, right? You might need another 40 or 50, right? Yeah. Okay. So whereas the International Stuttering Awareness Day is intended to raise public awareness of stuttering, a poorly understood disorder that affects about 1% of our population, totaling 70 million worldwide and approximately 350,000, Canadians. Whereas the Newfoundland and Labrador Stuttering Association focuses on its mandate to provide advocacy and support for people who stutter while representing a diverse group of individuals with varied occupations, cultural identities, personal experiences, and accomplishments. Whereas millions of preschool and school-aged children, adolescents, adults, and seniors face the daily physical, emotional, and psychological challenges of living with a stutter, including stereotyping and discrimination. And whereas we must ensure that these preschool and school-aged children, adolescents, adults, and seniors who stutter can access affordable and effective speech therapy if they wish, and find help through the combined efforts of speech language professionals and consumer support organizations. Whereas ISAD is an opportunity to support the speech language pathologists and allied health professionals who work with those who stutter. And whereas ISAD is an opportunity to ensure that the voices of people who stutter are heard by influencing and advancing issues relevant to people who stutter at all political levels. And whereas October 22nd marks an international commitment to educate people about this complex disorder, to work toward the prevention of stuttering in children, and to support continued research to find the causes of stuttering. I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of our City Council and my colleagues on council, we do hereby proclaim that the 22nd of October will be, here in the City of Mount Pearl, International Stuttering Awareness Day. And I'm very happy to be in the presence of a fellow person from Gander, Newfoundland and Labrador, Greg O'Grady.
That's true.
And you had a walk recently. I heard it was very successful.
We did, Mayor. So, before I start, I'm a person who stutters, and so I'm going to be using my speech therapy targets because I do have a severe stutter, and so I'm going to be using my full breath and stretch syllables. Now the stretch syllables target is a target that I have to stretch out. I may sound drunk, but I'm not drunk. It's all part of the speech therapy program. So what does the International Stuttering Awareness Day, ISAD, mean to me? Stuttering can be a deafening silence. ISAD is about a global community of stuttering. It's about an unwrapped present that keeps on giving. Listening and reading about lived experiences shared by the global community of people who stutter provides a unique and realistic perspective of having a stutter. Through sharing of lived experiences, we as people who stutter support, gain insight, find hope and inspiration from each other. It takes my breath away. This sharing significantly helps raise awareness, education, understanding, and acceptance of stuttering. I feel that by listening and reading about lived experiences shared by the global community of people who stutter, it's like receiving an unwrapped present every day, a present which keeps on giving every day, receiving of such an overwhelming global collective sharing of lived experiences provides us as people who stutter with hope for a better day, hope for a better tomorrow, and hope for a better future. For me, I now wake up each and every morning with anticipation and excitement, waiting to receive this unwrapped present that keeps on giving and giving. I believe people who stutter are winners, that we are accomplishments. Although casualty of stuttering in many ways, as people who stutter, individually, we journey different roads in life, yet we share similar lived experiences. By sharing our individual and shared lived experiences, we come together as one, a global community of support. Collectively, we are 1 to 2% of the world's population who are winners and are our individual accomplishment. I feel that each and every person who stutters deserves an Oscar. On behalf of the Newfoundland Labrador Stuttering Association, thank you, Mount Pearl City Council, for proclaiming October 22nd, 2024 as International Day, Awareness Day of City in the city of Mount Pearl. Happy ISAD Day. And thank you again, Mayor.
Greg, so good to see you, and thank you for all the work you do. I know if you leave your mic on, he may ask you a question or two. Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Greg, again for coming in.
I was going to keep the mic.
All good. You can take it off.
Not that-
Thank you again, Greg, for coming in and sharing stuttering awareness. It was just a couple of weeks ago, I was up to the track and field and participated in your, I got to get it right now, it's the 1K, 5K walk, run and roll for stuttering awareness. And it's amazing when you think about this. This is Greg's group, Newfoundland Stuttering Association, a group that I think you formed 6 years ago. And in 6 short years, he has raised $10,000 for Stuttering Association. Well done. Right? And it's through your efforts in Stuttering Association that other people are learning about stuttering. And it's okay to stutter and you can live with it, right? One of the things I looked at, stuttering awareness is crucial for fostering understanding and support for those who stutter. We support you, Greg, and we thank everything you got done. And I love
Thanks a lot, Bill. Okay. The hat says, no judgment, I stutter. So anyhow, okay. Thank you.
Join us for a picture.
Oh, sure.
We're good at that. So we'll have two of our colleagues can't join us, but
And I'll I'll leave you some bookmarks and they're in honor of the ISAD day, so. Okay. Want to pass those around or? Just as afterwards. Oh.
All right, the next proclamation before we get down to the business of the day is from the Miles for Smiles Foundation. And I'd like to welcome Bev Moore Davis and Tom and a friend to come on up while we read the proclamation. And you've been busy, Bev. You've been busy with proclamations, the city of St. John's, I heard. Hi, Tom, how you doing? And also with the provincial government at the Federation Building, right? So this is Tom and Connie and Bev, folks. Yeah. Whereas children are the foundation for a prosperous and innovative society, and the foundation for a child's growth and development is established when the community takes responsibility for creating healthy environments where our children can thrive. And whereas every child deserves to grow up in a safe, nurturing environment that fosters their physical, emotional, and social development, and whereas child abuse and neglect is an important societal concern that may affect the long-term health and well-being of not only children, but also the adults they become. Child abuse and neglect impacts our entire society and our society's future. And whereas child abuse prevention is a shared responsibility, and finding solutions requires the involvement and collaboration of citizens, organizations, and government entities. And whereas this month, we call on all individuals, families, communities, and organizations to recognize the devastating problem of child abuse and neglect and actively learn the signs of possible abuse. We urge everyone to seek resources, attend training, and spread awareness to ensure every child is safe, heard, and protected. And we commit to creating a community where child abuse is recognized, reported, and prevented. So therefore, I, the mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of my colleagues on council, I'm going to sign this proclamation, and we are here in the city of Mount Pearl. And I'm looking forward to, Bev, to a little discussion, not only why you're here, but the long-term impact of child abuse too, especially as we grow up to be adults. There's a definite relationship, isn't there?
Absolutely. In fact, we've been talking about that all day. First of all, thank you. Thank you for our council and Mayor Aker for supporting us in this National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and not just today, not just this month, but throughout the year. Yeah, certainly the unfortunate consequences long-term of child abuse have a rippling effect throughout life for its survivors. We are more susceptible to not only the daily things of anxiety and depression, PTSD, and nightmares, eating disorders, and it goes on and on. We are also more susceptible to specific types of cancers, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and it goes on. So yeah, the long-term effects certainly do have a dire effect on us, and not only us, but families as it ripples its way through life, through the communities, and so on. So I know Connie wanted to have a few words to speak about something, and I'm not sure if Tom, you had anything, but thank you. Thank you again. We appreciate truly the support that you've given us over the years.
Hi, everyone. I spent 31 years as a police officer, and I want to tell you that I've seen all kinds of child abuse. I've seen children burned with cigarettes and other implements. I've had cases of children chained on in their basements, forced to eat from dog bowls. I had a horrendous case where the little girls in the family were bound with masking tape overnight and left on a mattress with no blankets, wearing only Depends all winter long, and were untaped in the morning and sent to school. That went on for 13 years. A teacher was the one who rang the alarm bell. The extent, the scope of child abuse cannot really be measured. It just can't. It's devastating for the child, for them as an adult. As Bev has been a victim of child sexual abuse and physical abuse herself. Maybe she didn't want me to say that, but she speaks publicly about it, so we're public now. I also wanted to mention to you that each month I call Open Line because since last August, we have been collecting from the 10 provincial courts in our province court numbers. And they're very hard to weed out, but we count through. And sorry, I suffer from something called essential tremors. And so you'll see me shaking, but I'm not nervous. So we count up the court numbers for any crimes against children. And since August of last year, we have been averaging 335 cases a month. And I hear some people gasp, but I can tell you that that's a small number in actual fact. Only 10% of cases, of all cases, ever get reported to the police, and far less number than that go to court. So just think about that and do the math, and you're looking at thousands and thousands of cases per month in this province. And I can attest to that. We're seeing a lot of children suffer as a result. And I noticed the sign here. And I'd ask you to keep that in mind. We're here today. What about the other 364 days? October is Child Abuse Prevention Month. What about the other 11 months? We are doing what we can to raise awareness, but it takes a village, and it takes more than the three of us. I would really like you as counselors to dissect the words in the proclamation. It talks about community responsibility. It talks about raising awareness and having people educated. And I can tell you that we are available to come and speak to you if you so desire. We will fill you in on what's happening. And some people, I lived in Mount Pearl for over 2 decades. And I went to a lot of presentations. I did roughly 2 presentations each week, many of them to church groups in basements, mainly women. And women would always come up to me and say, what can I do to help? And I would tell them, you need to make this a safe space. You need to have people in your church aware, like you made yourselves aware this evening. And if you're having a bake sale, put on the bottom of your sign that a portion of the proceeds will be donated to Irish Kirby House. I said, it doesn't matter if you give them $1, $2. The message is what's important. And it creates an environment where people know they could come in and they could speak their truth. So I would just encourage everybody to please take the issues seriously. You all know since Mount Cashel, This has not stopped. We've had a recent case, Humvee and Escott, that went years. So many children fell through the cracks. Now we have another case with a teacher, and there are still people reporting. Just please make yourselves aware, and if we can help you do that, we're here for you. Visit the Miles for Smiles Foundation.com website, all kinds of information there. And follow us on Facebook and share the information. Just share, share, share. That's what we ask. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for doing this again. I just want to add my voice to this important issue. I'm not here as a representative of the city of St. John's. However, when I'm sitting around that table, I'm driving this home. If you wanted to fix one socioeconomic, one long-term driver of success for our communities, it would be trying to reduce or eliminate child abuse. So I just want to lend my voice to that. And thank you all for being here.
Councillor Lane, please.
First of all, thank you. Is this working? Yes. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. And thank you for sharing this information because it's so important. In my first job, I'm a teacher as well. And I'm just going to add to the fact that childhood abuse is happening all the time. I think in the education field, we probably see it most prevalent for sure. As a teacher, I've had students confide in me multiple times about things that have been going on at home, and it's honestly heartbreaking. But I just have a question. I mean, I know the answer because I know in my role as a teacher have the duty to report. But if anyone has a child come to them and confide in them about abuse that is happening at home, what do you think the best steps be to address that? Because you don't want to, the child is trusting you, and you don't want to lose that trust in the child, but you also want to make sure that the issue is being addressed. So what do you think the best steps would be to take to ensure that the child can still trust you, but is also getting the help that they need?
I think, first of all, you want to take the opportunity to thank the child for trusting you with that information. I think you need to let them know that it's your job as the adult, whether it's the teacher, whether you're an aunt or an uncle, a neighbor, it's your job to keep them safe. So that means that you may have to talk to some people to ensure that their safety is protected long-term. And but you're going to be there to help them along the way. I mean, you're going to need to get some, for anybody who doesn't have the training that many of our teachers do have, you want to make sure that you're getting support as well. You want to speak to the appropriate people who are trained with CSSD, the RNC, ensure that you have support and that they're aware of what's going on as well. The worst thing I have through the years, and I'll go really quick. So often we've had people come up and tell us, myself included, I didn't disclose until I was well into my adult years. And so many people would say, I knew something was going on, but I didn't want to get involved. And that is the worst thing you can say, because just imagine for a second that you suspect something and maybe you're the only person that does suspect something. And then later you don't do anything. And then 20, 30 years later, you find out, oh, I should have did something. It's a horrible thing to carry. Absolutely. And as Connie alluded to, the numbers are incredible. For every one person who does speak out, there's 9 more that you know nothing about. And you think about that in your classrooms or in your communities, around the table. There's a lot of people that are keeping these secrets to themselves and struggling silently. Thank you.
No, thank you. Good question too from Councillor Lane. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Hi, Bev, I see you turning your head a little bit. It is so good to see you. I just wanted to start by just acknowledging and thanking some dear friends that are right now presenting this important, very important proclamation. Connie, Bev, you have been in the work of anti-violence for decades. And the fact that you're continuing to move forward, bring awareness to this is more than admirable. This is a significant amount of work and resources, and it's an emotional labor, and it's definitely a passionate labor of love. But more importantly, which I feel is so important around this, is that this is also there is facts towards this. There's a science towards this. We're talking about psychology. We're talking about actual cases, reporting number statistics, which really demonstrate that this is not only pervasive, and we already know the psychological, we're only getting to know, the psychological, emotional, and mental impact this has on those living with lived experiences. But we are only, like you said, understanding the statistics and reporting. So I want to, first of all, thank you for bringing those both things together, because sometimes we as a community or society can see a matter of, well, that's nice. People are passionate. That's wonderful that you bring this attention. But there's also a science, there's a reality, there's a factual aspect to this that we need to really bring home to everyone, to recognize that this is in your neighborhoods. This is within our lives. This is, if not you, you may have been, it's more often than not that in this room tonight, there are survivors. It is just a fact of statistics. And when we start thinking about it that way, we move away from silos of, well, this is a provincial issue, this is a federal issue, a municipal issue. And we start making a net of prevention, because sometimes we lose the matter of violence prevention, gets lost in the cracks because it becomes only one person's responsibility. And I just want to say that Connie, Bev, and Miles for Smiles, and the work that you've done you've made a career, more than that, you've made a life of this work, is that it shouldn't be just on the backs of one or two individuals, that we all have a responsibility into this. And I also agree, Connie, you might have said, I think, this is one day of many days out of the year. So we have to think broadly about this. And I admire the work you do. I come from that background, so I might sound passionate about it, but it's also rooted in some important facts, right? The reality of this. So thanks again, to you, and a giant bouquet to both of you, giant hugs. If I was there tonight, I would be there. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Let's do a little quick, sorry, Counselor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm still disturbed by the stats that Connie presented, and having children of my own and grandchildren in particular. I welled up when you were saying about this, and I know this is Awareness and Prevention Month, and I too, in my past career, was in the education system, high school teacher, and it's one thing to say the stats are shocking. But any advice, tips, what to look out for if you suspect that? Are there any telltale signs? It's one thing to say we should be aware, and I think nobody in this room or any of our listening audience would disagree with that. But I know, for example, as a teacher, I taught over 5,000 students, and there's different personalities. Some are quiet by nature, but always in the back of my mind, I wondered, are they quiet for a reason? Or is that just their personality? And then how much do you pry? Do you then go to the guidance counselor, say, I'm concerned about Jim? So is there any telltale signs that may be triggers or like flags that people could identify and take further?
Okay, I'll start and if anybody else wants to add to it. I think, first of all, if you do suspect, I would say maybe somebody else might. So I would talk to my colleagues and ask them, what do they think? You can keep an eye together. I know we had to be so careful. We don't want to accuse anybody, certainly, and I understand that. But I would also work on your relationship with the child because she or he may never trust you, but by you allowing her to know that she can, to have that relationship that you're not just a teacher, you're not. And I've often in group settings talked about how instead of staying behind the desk and talking to the children, maybe you can sit down out on a chair next to the child where they're looking at you. There's no authoritative stance here in the room. So you want them to be able to trust you so that if they are able to talk, they're going to talk to you. For regards to what to look for, it is, as you said, it's so diverse. Some children will be shy, withdrawn, not say a word, when you'll get others that are bullying in the classroom. You can go online, certainly, and Moms for Smalls Foundation, we've got a lot of information there giving people advice. And another great resource is the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. As parents, you can also get, you can do programs there that will educate you on all of this that we're talking about today, on what to look for and how you can help with that. But does anybody else want to add to it? I mean, I know I can keep going, but the big thing is talk to somebody else and keep your eye together. And but just don't stay silent. Don't wait for something to happen. If you suspect, again, you may be the only person that does suspect, but at least if you talk to your colleague, well, now that person can watch as well and see and be there so that if they want to talk, that they can talk to you, build your relationship so that you are a trusting adult that they can talk to. Sense?
Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. Connie, Bev and Tom, just want to say, thank you for you guys coming in. And I know how important this is to you. And it's something, that when I was listening to it, what all the words you were saying there, it's very hard to comprehend. But it does happen, and I certainly concur reiterate all what the rest of council is after saying, we certainly support you guys. And I'm certainly happy to be part of this proclamation as well. And the kids are so vulnerable, and as adults, we certainly got to make sure that we look for warning signs. And like Councillor Locke has mentioned, as a teacher, I'm sure, and Councillor Lane as well, they've seen lots of things in the school system. They can certainly speak about as well. But I just want to say thank you for coming in. And we certainly appreciate what you do and being the advocate for such a great, strong movement. And we appreciate your time tonight for coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, thank you so much. Good to see you, Tom. Tom is a councillor with the City of St. John's, so nice to see you in that as well. And shall we do a picture? Because we would like to help to promote it a little bit more. You ready? All right, folks, thank you very much. The agenda for tonight includes the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee report. And I think this is why all the people are here. 50 to 56 McCarthy Crescent. Councillor Antle, please.
Worship, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for attending. We'll go with the formal procedures first, and we'll have the vote right after this. This has to do with 50 to 56 McCarthy Crescent, next gen construction, the new apartment building. The committee was advised that the city is in receipt of an application by Next Gen Construction on behalf of the property owner Apollo Construction Cooperative to demolish the 2 existing double dwellings as removal of 4 residential units, to construct 2 6-unit apartment buildings, that's 12 residential units, at 50 to 56 McCarthy Crescent. The proposal includes the consolidation of 50 to 52 and 54 and 56 McCarthy Crescent into one parcel of land. The concept plan submitted illustrates 17 parking spaces. The proposed 12 apartments require 18 parking spaces as calculated at 3 parking spaces per 2 dwellings. The proponent is requesting parking relief to accommodate the development. The subject property is located in residential medium density and abuts the residential high density at the rear, that's Treesmuir and Michener. Our apartment building is not a permitted use in the RMD use zone. However, the proposed cannot accommodate as defined as a residential intensification project and is subject to regulation 6.33, as it is within the range of developments that council may permit at their discretion, subject to a public notice and consultation, which has been completed. Based on the submitted site plan, the proposed site and rear yard setbacks have been met. The existing double dwellings each have 2 existing units for a total of 4 units. The current footprint is 132.16 meters. Some of the regulations, they are planned to have 6 units, each have an additional 8 units. A commercial, part of this area is a commercial garbage bin shall be placed on the subject property and shall be emptied at intervals not exceeding 1 week by a private contractor subject to the Mount Pearl Solid Waste regulations. Snow clearing of the parking area at the subject property will be the responsibility of Apollo Housing Cooperative. There is approximately a 2-meter grade difference with reduction of elevation from the front to the rear of the property. The proposed location of the parking area must support positive drainage to the front of the property and not onto adjacent properties. Additionally, on-site stormwater detention will be required for the hard surface parking area. The estimated cost of construction is $3.3 million. The proposed site plan, elevation drawings, and flood maps are all attached. This, with relation to adopted plans and regulations, the Mount Pearl Municipal Plan, all developments have been met. Development regulations 2010, it's all in your case. Apartment building is not a permitted use in the RMD use zone. However, the proposed residential intensification is subject to 6.33, which is in the range of the developments of council may permit at their discretion. The planning department has reviewed this and have met all the conditions and developments. The proponent has applied for parking relief. The city development regulations state that an apartment use, minimum parking requirements are 3 spaces for every 2 dwellings. To accommodate 12 units, parking relief for 1 space is required. 17 spaces are present in the current plan, and a parking relief will be required. There will be provision for 1.4 parking spaces per unit. Current regulations require 1.5 spaces per unit. This was sent to the St. John's Regional Fire Department, and they have reviewed and they have their developments, which the developer has to adhere to. This is all in your kit. Service NL has looked at this, and they have the development has to adhere to all those. Newfoundland Power has reviewed this, and same thing, the development has to meet all theirs. Canada Post has been advised. The Planning and Service Department has looked at all this, and on June the 28th, there was a public process. A notice of application was on the city's website and was published in the Shoreline on July the 5th, 2024. This notice was also circulated to 186 property owners within a 150-meter radius via Canada Post on June 28th. In addition, a member of Parliament, or 2 MHAs, and the Mount Pearl Chamber of Commerce was noticed. All right, thank you. Thank you. I'll try not to. Anyhow, at the public hearing, we had 17 written representations. And each of these emails were read by each of our councillors and reviewed. At the public session, there were 20 speakers, some for and some against, and all these comments were written down for minutes, and each council member got a chance to read those. In summary, some of the concerns brought forward were property values, the length of construction, concerns about noise, additional traffic, concerns about mess, concerns of fencing, concerns of pest control, concerns of garbage collection, and snow clearing. In consideration of all these concerns brought forward, Council also reviewed and considered the following communication. Engineering traffic study completed by Harborside Construction. There was a traffic count completed by Mount Pearl Municipal Enforcement. There was a petition here for 98 residents, which we reviewed. Additional correspondence, including public briefing session minutes, which we all reviewed. There were questions and answers provided by the developer. Additional information provided as requested on parking configuration, snow clearing, grading of property, garbage collection, structure height, fencing, maintenance of trees, and vegetation that is already there. Also included was lighting, side yards, and previous council treatment of concerns regarding property values. The city also did a complete inspection services which the developer had to meet. The engineering services did a complete inspection which the developer has to meet. And the finance division has looked through and made sure that everything was up to code. Now we'll get down to the recommendation. It is recommended that council vote on this proposal based on the intent of Mount Pearl Regulation 6.33 residential intensification, which includes the following. The development 6.33.1. The development is suitable to the physical conditions, municipal servicing, and road capacity of the area and is compatible with the existing neighborhood character. 6.33.2. In consideration of an application for a residential intensification project, council shall, without limiting the general of the foregoing, consider the location of the land, the demand on schools, services, and utilities, the form and character of adjacent developments, the implications of the transportation system, the proposed housing form and urban design in relationship to adjacent uses, the height and density in relation to surrounding areas, and the impact of development in view of shades and shadowing of adjacent properties. 6.33, council may consider deviations from established zoning standards as outlined in the regulations if council deems the residential intensive project appropriate and suitable for the neighborhood and area. 6.33.4, the residential intensification project is processed in accordance with the regulations 4.16. I, as co-chair of the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee, is it the will of council to approve the proposed development, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antol and seconded by the Deputy Mayor as committee co-chairs. Just to note that the motion is, the way it's worded is to approve. So I just want my colleagues to understand how the vote will go. Councillor Antol, are you voting, sorry, are you speaking against the motion?
I certainly am, Your Worship. Before I begin, I want to say that I've been involved in this process from the get-go. I chaired the public hearing. I listened to every part of this, and every councillor has shared everything that was discussed at the meeting. I want to reiterate that, you know, I'm supportive of co-op housing. I think co-op housing is needed in Mount Pearl, and I certainly support that. You know, we need affordable housing in Mount Pearl, and I certainly support that. But what I don't support is I don't think this is the right area for this development, right? You know, we as a council have already supported many, many housing developments here in the city. You know, we have supported the development on Park Avenue. We just supported a development on Greenwood Crescent. And we supported some development on Dunroban Crescent. You know, as I said, I've been involved in this application from the get-go. And we have, right now, we look up there, there's currently 4 homes. And now there are 4 homes and there's 4 families. We're increasing that on the same lot to 12 families. And each unit, even though we're only reducing them to 2 bedrooms, it still comes with everything that a family needs. There's going to be visitors, there's going to be vehicle traffic, there's going to be overnight guests, there's going to be really no limit on who lives there. As regards to parking, there's no limit on what type of vehicle you own, or motorhome, or trailer, or a boat, right? You know, when we talk about gentle intensification, and this is a couple of reasons I'm against this, I think this is more intrusive intensification because it's causing a disruption and annoyance in our already existing neighborhood. It's already a crowded, busy street. I'm just digging down some notes here. I got some notes here, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, can you all hear me? I hope you can. There was 98 residents signed the petition, and each of them had a good reason. I read each one of these reasons why you were against it. They were all different, and I read every one of them. There were 17 written emails, and we all read those 17 emails. There was 15 oral presentations. I have received multiple phone calls from many of the residents in that area, and I'm sure other councillors have. Some of the reasons that I'm against this proposal, I'm not against affordable housing, and I'm not against co-op housing. But McCarthy Crescent, as the traffic study already has proven, is a busy street. In August of 27, we had our MEOs, our municipal enforcement agencies, went up and did a traffic count. On a 4-day period on McCarthy Crescent, there was 1,847 cars. On Schreier Crescent, which is a very comparable street, there was 866 cars. On Lancaster, same. It was a very similar street with 640 cars. There was almost triple the amount of cars on McCarthy Crescent. All right. I'm after visiting that area many times in the past few months. And there's always 5 to 8, 10 cars parked on the side street when I go up there. I don't know what it's going to be like during holidays, Christmas, and Easter. You know, when you go up on that street now, there's a resident has a big yellow sign placed on the side of his fence, slow down, children are playing. Another resident called me a little while ago, talked about the high frequency of children playing in the neighborhood and running out behind parked cars. They were afraid they're going to get knocked down. That's another reason. We can't have no more traffic on that street. It's a beautiful existing neighborhood. The parking lot was my main concern. When we looked at McCarthy Crescent and any area in Mount Pearl, putting a 7, and one of the things I said to other councillors, are we paving paradise to put up our parking lot? You know, we're putting a 17-car parking lot in a residential neighborhood, and that's going to change the demographics of that neighborhood forever and a day. You know, all of these residents, many of you guys bought your homes with existing regulations that there wasn't no parking lots in your backyards. The parking lot is going to change the landscape of the neighborhood. Right now, the city does not allow doesn't allow parking lots in rear yards. Lighting. How is the lighting going to affect the neighbors in the backyard? That really concerns me. You know, it's the light. You know, you're in your backyard and enjoying the backyard, and you got lights in your backyard. It's destroying your way of life. I was asked a little while ago, what was the downsides of approving this development? And I thought about that for a long time. And I thought, you know, is this precedent setting? If we allow this, this is a great development, and there's certain areas in the city that I think we can put this. Is this precedent setting? If we put a parking lot on McCarthy Crescent, can I put a parking lot on any other area in the city of Mount Pearl? If you do it once, all right, that's my concern. Who's going to regulate that parking lot in 10 years down the road? I mean, it's not the city, it's going to be the housing development. You know, can anyone, after we develop this, can we let anybody else in Mount Pearl pave their backyard and put in a parking lot? You know, I don't know why not. And the other thing is, you know, does this mean that we're open up to infill housing within the city? So, your mayor, or your worship, my vote will be for against this proposal. And thank you very much.
Is there anybody supporting the motion? Would anybody else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Lane.
Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say that this was a very difficult decision for me because I know there's such a need for affordable housing, especially in today's economy. Unfortunately, I do have to vote against this today. First and foremost, because I've had so many residents reach out to me personally and to council as a whole. And I got to be on this council because of the support of the residents who got me here. And they elected me to best represent what they feel is in their best interest. And I've had numerous phone calls and emails similar to Councillor Antle. And, you know, many residents had very valid reasons as to why they feel it's not fit into this neighborhood. Sorry. Yes, many residents have reached out why they feel it doesn't fit into the neighborhood. I think that Councillor Antle has very well summarized pretty well all of the reasons that residents have reached out, such as the lighting and the parking lot in the back, and it just generally doesn't fit into this demographic. So for those reasons today, I will have to vote against this motion. However, I would love to see more co-op housing put in Mount Pearl and more affordable housing because there's such a need.
Deputy Mayor Kiley and then Councillor Rice, I see in the queue.
Realized I was on mute. Apologies. Just wanted to reiterate or some of the points certainly made by my colleague, Councillor Lane, as a new councillor. And I would say with all decisions that have been on the table at this chambers, this has been one of the most difficult regarding where and what to vote, because as similar to Councillor Lane, similar to Councillor Antle's perspective and attitude around co-op housing, which we absolutely see it's a need. Affordable housing is a need. It's also looking at a balance between what is needed for a healthy and thriving neighborhood. And specifically that I was elected as well. And we all are elected to make difficult choices. And sometimes it is looking at what is most important. And that is looking at residents as experts, and especially within a small community or our neighborhood. And I believe co-op housing does belong in all of our neighborhoods. What that looks like, how that's developed, is going to have to look different. And for this reason, I am voting against this motion, because I believe it's not the type of structure that really has been requested, or that would maybe not necessarily thrive in the area in which it's been presenting and how it's been presented. It's just not the fit. But again, I wanted to thank the tremendous amount of work that was done by the residents that had put together information for us to share, who attended and engaged in the process. That's a learning for myself. And certainly I wanted to thank also the members of this table who gave significant discussion and collaborate and communication around this. And finally, to the city staff who had been developing and collecting and helping us through this process with the information. Because it was such an engaging process, and because there was so much information at the table, sometimes that's what makes things more harder to of a decision, because it's not just black and white. There's a lot of factors that go into this. So I do appreciate the depth of work and knowledge that was presented and put forward at this table. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
No, thank you. Over to you, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. I as well will be speaking against the motion. So for me, I mean, I certainly put a lot of time and effort into this myself as a councillor. I've sat down and read all the emails. I read over every bit of information that came in, and I certainly had an open mind into what we would transpire into trying to put a development like that into a well-established neighborhood. The 50 to 56 McCarthy Crescent, it is a residential medium density zoning. The proposal that's being proposed is for a new apartment building. It is at the discretion of council under the Mount Pearl Development Regulations for 2010, Regulation 6.33, which is residential intensification projects. The council, like I just mentioned, it is at the discretion of the council. But so as a council, when we applied for the federal funding, the HAVE funding, we applied for the funding, and when that funding requirements came back, we all got up in arms because we were looking at putting different developments citywide for duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. And now we're looking at putting a sixplex in one. So my decision was we're putting a sixplex on one building lot, and we're putting sixplex on the second building lot. We are certainly changing the demographics of that subdivision. It is a well-established family neighborhood that was built in the 1980s. And I know that many families have lived there for 30, 40 years. So, you know, as I mentioned before, when we talked about, we did sign on for the $6.1 million. The city of Mount Pearl got approved for $6.1 million of the housing accelerator funding from the federal government, from Minister Fraser's office. And part of that requirement, you know, this is an established neighborhood. If we decide going forward to put it in a brand new neighborhood, a brand new subdivision, or an area that would certainly suit this type of subdivision or affordable housing, I would be all for it. But to put this type of building, and I certainly looked at the size of that development compared to what it would be next to the duplex that already exists there. And the difference of size, it's a big difference in that size. So I don't support the motion, and I will be voting against the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Over to Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think pretty well everything has been said. I have a whole list here, but they've already been articulated. So just for the record, I will not be supporting this development. I think the neighborhood has brought to our attention a number of concerns that, in my view, are legitimate. But there is a need for housing, and in particular, affordable housing. And in this case, I just don't feel like this particular proposal is right for this location. So similar to everything that everybody else has said, I just will not be supporting this development.
Thank you, Councillor Locke.
The course of speaking last, I'm not going to reiterate everything that council said. When this proposal first came to the table, I was excited about this proposal because our strategic plan for this term of council had to do with, intensification. We have to increase our numbers in the city of Mount Pearl. There is a huge need for housing of all types. This one here, as we said, is 8 extra units. There was talk that they'd be smaller apartments or living units, and more prone to or acceptable, attractive to seniors. So it ticked all the boxes. Technically, from a technical perspective, this development would fit. It meets our regulations. The side yard setbacks were met, the backyard setbacks, the front yard setbacks. Many people talk about apartments, but when you say the word apartment, I think what conjures up, I know in my mind and other people's minds, is an apartment building. But these buildings are not any higher than the 2-story duplexes that are there right now. So it would fit. It would fit there. It's a great development. These would be new, modern homes that I think would have been a good fit to the environment and the neighborhood. I asked a number of questions with respect to traffic, and Councillor Antle already mentioned those, and the impact on housing. A concern or a question that always is raised is what is the impact going to be on my assessed value or my property values? And in my tenure on council now, for the number of terms I've been here, we've approved multiple housing developments, and that was raised at every single one of them, the impact. But it's never borne out. After the fact, it's never come back. We've done controversial, decisions on council. I think back to Municipal Avenue, where we put in 26 apartment units down there with multiple parking spaces. There's not 17. There's probably 24 or 30 parking spaces down there. Glendale Avenue, similar intensification. So there's multiple parking units down there. Those buildings are a little higher in Glendale Avenue. So so I asked these questions. This has been a very thorough process because I like to have the data before I make a decision. And in a lot of cases, residents come out, and I understand it. It's their neighborhood. There's emotion that comes into this. There's no doubt about it. But I try to look at the data, and I went back and multiple times requested the transportation study. So it's a good development. It would be a very attractive development. But what swayed me, and Councillor Antle mentioned this. Councillor Fry and I asked for these traffic data, and there's a lot of cars that are traveling down McCarthy Crescent right now. Now, whether or not this project proceeds, that traffic issue is not going away. When Councillor Antle said almost triple the volume of cars on other streets there. And also, we had Herbicide do a traffic analysis. This particular unit, if this development were to proceed, it wouldn't be a significant impact on the traffic flow in the area. The report came back, I think, 3 to 6 additional cars during peak times in the mornings and the afternoons. So it's not going to add a significant amount of vehicles on that road during peak times. I'm not a traffic engineer. That's why I rely on experts to bring this information back. But the nagging thing for me was the volume of traffic going down McCarthy Crescent right now. And to add to an already existing, high volume of traffic, that's what swayed me the other way. This is a good development, but as my council colleague said, I don't think it's a good fit here. But technically it would fit there. But there's other decisions that come into play to this around the council table. It's the context of the broader area. And this area already seems intensive in that you have an apartment zone, a high density on Tweedsmuir and Michener Avenue. So it's for that reason, Mayor, that I won't be supporting with this proposal proceeding. I thank you.
Yeah, before I turn to you, Councillor Antle, perhaps to close debate, I won't be supporting the motion either, but I do want to say to the residents, it's been thorough engagement. Thank you for the feedback. It was respectful for the most part, and I think that's really, really important around here. Staff did a great job on the analysis. It was very, very thorough, and thanks CEO Spurl and all of our staff. And to my colleagues, the thoroughness, I can't understate it enough. It was very, very thorough. We're all very engaged. We're all listening to the residents, and I think that's the bottom line at the end of the day. So, Councillor Antle, is there a need to close debate, or shall I go right ahead and then I'll call the motion?
Just thank you, Dave, your worship. I want to thank the residents who all showed up, but also to Mr. Mercer of Next Gen Development. He certainly was available at all times. Anytime we wanted a question answered, he was available. And I wanted to let the residents know that, City Hall does listen. You sent out your emails and you were very engaged, and each one of us heard, and we all listened. Everybody listened. And thank you very much, Your Worship.
So for clarity, a vote no rejects the motion, and that's likely what you've all just said. So I'm going to call the motion. All in favor? Those opposed?
Yeah.
Nay, it is. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Antle, continue with the building and occupancy permit listing.
I think Deputy Mayor, you want to do that, Deputy Mayor?
Taking myself off mute. Yes, Councillor Antle, and thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick other few items. So myself and I certainly, Councillor Antle, you had done the heavy lifting with the prior motion, but I'm happy to share some of the weight of our committee with the last components here of our agenda. So our second is just the building and occupancy permit listings between the times of September 9th and 20th, 2024. So the Planning and Engineering Development Committee recommends that residential and commercial building permits issued for this period showing a total of construction value of $2,995,105 be approved, and further that the occupancy permit list be as accepted. And of course, that list is in our kits, and I so move.
Thank you. It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley, seconded by Councillor Antal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Back to you.
So that leaves us with a small capital, well, not small, but it's certainly big capital works project. Just a few items to identify. Line marking fall schedule is underway, so we're about 65% complete of our line marking. And we also have work on the community center ongoing, and the foundation has been poured, which is incredible as we move along with such a pinnacle project. And finally, asphalt and concrete work is ongoing throughout the city as it is. And that is our capital projects update. And that also is the final item for our committee agenda tonight, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Antal. I don't think the next two committee reports are going to be quite as long. Over to you, Councillor Locke, for Recreation and Community Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take the first two and then I'll turn it over to Councillor Fry to finish up our committee report. The first is the second annual Haunting of Powers Pond. I'm so looking forward to this, as are so many residents in our city. Just to say, it's gonna take place from the 18th of October to the 27th. So if you'd like to embark on a spooky adventure, City of Mount Pearl invites you to join our moonlight walk around Powers Pond. It'll commence at the boathouse entrance, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. and 7 to 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, as I said, from October the 18th to October the 27th. The admission, we're asking for a cash donation, and proceeds will go to support our food banks and other community initiatives. Join us for a fun, spooky, safe night. All the details are posted on the city's website and on Facebook. The second one is we had a second annual for the Haunting of Powers Pond. This is the 32nd annual Christmas at the Glacier, October 23rd to the 27th. I know in my household, my wife loves to go to the Christmas at the Glacier. I love to go as well. And that's sort of the kickoff for the Christmas season for so many people. It gets them in that festive giving mood. So this year's annual Christmas at the Glacier is going to run from Wednesday, the 23rd of October, doors opening at 5 p.m. And this festival of craft and art will showcase approximately 200 craft producers and artists from 7 provinces. So don't miss out on this 5 days of Christmas shopping tradition. For more information, check out the event's website at the email there, cgientertainment.ca. And I guess, as they always say, I'll see you at the shoe. And that's it for me, Mayor. I'll turn it over to Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. The final agenda item we have this evening is regarding the annual safety skeleton, which is going to take place, of course, on Thursday, October the 31st. The annual safety skeleton will take place on Thursday, October 31st, as I just said. And the city's municipal enforcement officers will patrol the streets within Mount Pearl to ensure safety is being followed while giving out treats to those seen. So if you see the municipal enforcement officers out and about, give them a wave. They are carrying treats. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you, everybody. Now we're going to move over to Corporate Services and Public Works. Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda this evening is the invoices for approval. The committee recommends that the following invoices totaling $154,753.83 be approved for payment. Council, as you can see your kits below. And I so move.
Second.
It is moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Rice. Thank you. Any questions, Council? It's a small one. Councillor Fry, go ahead.
I noticed that the St. John's Transportation Commission for the month of July, the accessible transit gas bus trips, that's only $5,000. That seems, gas. Okay. No, that was my question. So we pay for gas as well as the trips?
Yeah, the gas is purchased by the city of St. John's. I think they get it at a better bulk rate, so that's why it goes through as a separate invoice. Am I close? Thank you. I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And that's carried.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the payment register. For the information of council, the following payment register for September 26th to October 9th, 2024 total $2,197,787.13. And council, you can see that in your kits below. And did anyone have any questions or comments on that? Okay. In that case, we'll move on to the third agenda item, which is the revised wording to approval of support for GCC funding application. Further to council approval of support of a City of Mount Pearl application for funding to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund Program for Growing Canada's Community Canopy, and approval of a $200,000 city contribution at the public council meeting of October 1st, 2024. It has been learned that the funding application guide recommends that the council resolution be worded according to their specific template. The wording of the revised resolution reflects the information presented to and discussed by council, as well as the intent of the original approval. So for the recommendation, the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends that whereas the City of Mount Pearl has the following interest to maintain and foster growth amongst existing trees, increase tree canopy, including environmental and air quality benefits, calm traffic, and enhance the city's streetscapes for public enjoyment and benefits. And whereas that council acknowledges that the City of Mount Pearl is applying for a funding opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Growing Canada's Community Canopies Initiative for the City of Mount Pearl's GCCC Urban Forestry Plan. And whereas council also recognizes that the lifetime contribution from the Growing Canada's Community Canopies Initiative will not exceed $10 million for tree planting within our municipality, inclusive of a maximum contribution of $1 million for infrastructure activity costs, and that if approved, this project will be counted towards that limit. Resolved that ratification approval be granted for the city's contribution to a project in keeping with the city's urban forestry plan to increase the city's tree canopy via an application to the FCM's GMF Growing Canada's Community Canopies funding program for a City of Mount Pearl GCCC urban forestry plan with an estimated total project cost of $400,000 pending funding approvals under a 50-50 cost sharing under the GCCC funding program. And the city's contribution in the amount of $200,000 is committed under the 2025 budget and be carried out over 2025 and 2026 in the areas of Old Placentia Road, Sagona Avenue to Ruth Avenue, and Richard Nolan Drive to Commonwealth Avenue. And I so move.
Second.
It is moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Rice. I'm just going to call the question. It's pretty much wordsmithing. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Rice now.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Your worship, number 4 in our agenda tonight is our facade improvement program application recommendation. So the background on this one is the city has received an application for the facade improvement grant program. Applicants who meet the criteria can receive up to 50% of total project costs, up to a maximum of $10,000. The judging and selection committee has reviewed, scored, and evaluated each application based on the project criteria and the submission criteria. The building at 1035 Topsail Road is currently occupied by Business Venture Fireplace since 2009. This proposed project will aim to restore siding, windows, doors, and front building facade to improve the look and provide a more modern appearance and make it more attractive to the current tenants and future business opportunities. This project meets the criteria outlined in the program guidelines. The Corporate Services Department recommends approval of a grant in the amount of $9,100 for 1035 Topsail Road And the committee supports this recommendation supported this recommendation at the meeting of August the 27th, 2024. The Committee of the Whole supported the recommendation at their meeting of September the 7th, 2024. However, at their meeting of October the 1st, 2024, Council requests additional information and has since referred to this matter back to Public Council meeting. The Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends that the facade improvement program grant application by the property owners of 1035 Topsail Road be approved in the amount of $9,100. And I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Rice, seconded by Councillor Lane. Questions, comments from council colleagues? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Carried. Thanks.
Thank you. Number 5 is our professional development request for Director Dalamont to attend the NL Chapter CPWA Conference in Gander from October 16th to October 18th, 2024. So the recommendation it is recommended that this be approved, be granted for Director Glenn Dalamont to attend Newfoundland Labrador NL Chapter of the Canadian Public Works Association CPWA Conference in Gander from October the 16th until October the 18th, 2024, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Number 6 is our request for proposal for RFP 24-030. This is for Laserfish cloud services and data migration. The background on this one is the city has recently issued a request for a proposal RFP for Laserfish cloud services and data migration. This initiative aims to transmission from our current on-premises Laserfish installation to a cloud-based solution. The selected service provider will be tasked with delivering ongoing support and license management for the city's Laserfish multiple site license. Proposals were received from 5 vendors and were reviewed in terms of pricing and then ranking based on the criteria of technical support and financial components. Rico Canada was the lowest qualified bidder and also had the highest ranking score of 96%. Rico Canada is the current provider of our Laserfish support contract and have been since 2012. With the existing relationship with Rico Canada and their technical support team, the Department of Corporate Services anticipates that transition to this service delivery model will be a seamless process given their knowledge of our Laserfish environment. The Department of Corporate Services recommends that the city proceed with the awarding Rico Canada with the contract for services for 3 years, with the option to extend for another 3 additional 1 year at the end of the initial 3-year term. And the department's recommendation was supported by the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee at their meeting of September the 17th, 2024. And by the Committee of the Whole at their meeting of October the 1st, 2024. So recommendation from Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends approval for the contract for RFP 24-030, Laserfish Cloud Services and Data Migration to be awarded to Rico Canada for a term of 3 years in the amount of $33,743.40, including HST. For 2025, $34,755.70, including HST, and for 2026, $35,798.38, including HST, and for 2027 for a total of $104,297.48, including HST, which will be within operational budget for 2025. 2026 and 2027. Contract extensions for up to 3 years will be considered before the contract date expires, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Lane. Any debate? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
All right.
Those opposed? And that's carried too.
Thank you, Worship. Our last item on our agenda is our updates for information only. Number 7 is our Public Works Status Report. The following status report is provided for information. Under our Roads Division, Work continues on our asphalt repairs, street sweeping, maintenance holes and catch basin repairs. Under Parks Division, work continues on our Powers Pond Trail upgrades is completed. Maintenance of our sports fields, commemorative bench and tree program installation nearing completion. And under a Fleet Division, service and maintenance is continuing. Winter equipment, I'm sad to say that it's ongoing, but hopefully won't need that till after Christmas. And under our UTM division, general calls for water and sewer repairs, leak detection, and our water levels at Bay Bulls Big Pond as of October the 7th, 2024 is attached there in our kit, and you can see that for information only. And that is our report, Your Worship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Antle has a comment, I believe.
Just noticed the Bay Bulls Big Pond water levels. It's the lowest it has been in 3 years, and it's been in decline now for quite a few months. Is that alarming, or what's? I just happen to notice it's been since August. Yeah.
July and August were really, really dry, and I suspect that's part of what's driving it. Plus, it was not Mount Pearl. We fix all our leaks here in the city of Mount Pearl. Okay, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I just have one question regarding for the Public Works Department, and it's regarding Nash Crescent. Is there any updates on what's happening there now? Well, engineering, I guess.
Anyone. Yes, there is an update. So as we spoke last time, which probably wasn't in the public chamber, but there is a back and forth now with our contractor to complete paving on Nash and Farrell. So as late as this afternoon, still working on contracting. So separating out the driveway repair from the street repair. Street repair and driveway repair are anticipated to be done in the month of October. That is a plan. So in advance of the end of the month. There's a little bit of back and forth now on the contract, but we're hoping that both get resolved in the next couple of weeks. But we're going to continue to keep the lines of communication open with the residents and let them know what to expect, because we understand that that impacts their daily lives.
Thank you, Director Pittman. My biggest concern, of course, is with the cold weather coming. So as long as it's going to be done by the end of October, then we should be fine. Thank you.
We've reached the end of our meeting. I'm going to limit the roundtable, folks. We have another meeting at 6:15. One item. How's that work for everybody? Please. Councillor Antle says he doesn't have any. That means 2 for Councillor Fry. Councillor Antle, one item, if you don't mind, and set a good example for your colleagues, if I could ask, please.
Well, I'll make it nice and quick. I had 5, but I'll make it 1. Resident, a young kid here in Mount Pearl, he's 15 years old. Alex Taylor is having his Merry and Bright Christmas celebrations again this year. This is his 5th time. It's November 23rd, so mark it in your calendars. There's usually a good crowd, and he has Fergus O'Byrne opening up for him, so it should be quite the time. Thank you very much.
I love Christmas. I hate snow. Over to you, Councillor Lane.
Yes, I'll just mention that the Mount Pearl Public Library, who are always having lots of fun things on the go for kids, and it's always free, which is great. They'll be having a Halloween crafternoon on October 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. And that craft will be best suited for ages 3+. So if you're looking for something to do on a Saturday, October 26th, feel free to head on over for a fun craft.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fry.
So I get 1.5, right? Great. I just want to remind everyone of the Haunting of Powers Pond. That's back for the 2nd year, and it's going to start on October the 18th, and it will run until the 27th. The trail will be closed for the next few days while preparations are going ahead for that. But I also wanted to mention that as you guys know, we have our Safe Seniors Walk, and they're doing one around Powers Pond for our seniors. And the MEO guided walk around Powers Pond through the Haunting of Powers Pond will take place on, sorry, I had it there a second ago. On Thursday, October the 24th, and that's at 7 p.m. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Appreciate the conclusion to our meeting. Councillor Rice.
Yes, I got just one item. I just wanted to pass this information along to all council and staff here tonight. I've had several calls on the Powers Pond Trailway upgrade. I had residents reach out to me to call me, and they just wanted to pass along. So I figured I mentioned here tonight how impressed they are with the trailway and the way it's done. And a couple of people mentioned, they said, you know, we thought that we were going to do it a few years ago. We figured it would never be done. But I just wanted to pass along that they're so happy and they're so impressed with what was done up there. And they give us the big thumbs up. So it was a great initiative and a great decision to put that granular and stone up there. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, sir. And yeah, I think our Public Works Department, the Grand Concourse Authority certainly deserve a lot of credit for sticking with it and doing a great job. And I know our manager, Corey Harvey's here tonight. So would you please pass that on to our staff on behalf of Councillor Rice and the rest of the team here. Councillor Locke is next.
Thank you, Mayor. My one has to do with the Eastern Regional Service Board. Just read an update on their pricing in the spirit of us just going into budget. The tipping fees for waste is $92.50 a ton. When I came home last evening, one of my neighbors were mowing their lawn and dumping all their grass in a plastic bag. So when I spoke with them about, you know, the increased tonnage, and their response was, well, I used to put it in the paper bag. And one of my neighbors, when she first moved in the neighborhood, not me, said they won't take it in the paper bag. So then she started putting it in a plastic bag. But I just want to inform our residents that in a plastic bag, they're charging us $92.50 a ton. And as we all know, a bag of grass is heavy. But if you put it in a paper bag, it's free. And we provide free paper bags here at the city, at City Hall and the Summit Center. And we'll continue to do so until the winter months, obviously, because we're not expecting, unless Mayor Dave's wish comes true and we have Christmas with 26 degrees Celsius, but we will resume it in the springtime. So I just want to let people know that not only is it environmentally better, it's saving us a significant amount of money at the regional waste facility. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. My one item is to highlight a roundtable that's going to be happening later this week, October 17th, and it's Budget Talks 2025. And basically, us as council and are going to be, we've partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to have a way to engage with residents on the budgetary process. So folks are from the public are invited to attend this roundtable, and this is the time of year that I find is particularly important regarding thinking about the budget. We are, as a council, doing that, and that's all I have to say for today. It's just an acknowledgement of that's happening at the Sacre Hut. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In closing, my one item. Welcome, Scott Batt. Welcome to the City of Mount Pearl. Your first day on the public council meeting agenda. And we had a McCarthy Crescent. They don't happen every week. But it's still good. It was really good engagement, and I welcome you, Scott. I know you're taking over that department and its leadership. There will be more of this through either the municipal plan and or through proposals that are going to be, you know, presented to council. I believe Councillor Locke for sure, maybe others mentioned that in the debate and discussion about McCarthy. So on behalf of all of us, welcome to the City of Mount Pearl, and best of luck. It's going to be a pleasure working with you, and thank you very much. And I'm going to look for a motion now from, thank you, Counselor Antle, and second by Counselor Lane. We are adjourned.